So a farmer is tending to his fields, and a young college graduate is so excited. He's learning all this new stuff about scientific farming, and he goes to the farmer and he says, "You've got to hear what I've learned. You think your farm is great now. Wait till I tell you about all the special ways scientifically we can tie in irrigation, and you just won't believe it." And the farmer listens and lovingly hears what he has to say. And then when the young man finishes, he looks at him and he says, "Son, I really appreciate what you're saying, but I'm still learning how to do what I already know and learning how to do it better." There's many things in our lives that would apply. Evolution is great, technology, change, social media. We have so many new things always in our lives, but there are standard things that we tend to practice to get better at. One would be prayer. Forgiveness would be another. Intimacy is something that's ongoing, right? We have a couple of people agreeing with me about that. Learning how to be in relationship, learning how to be relatable. One of my favorite quotes from me is that all right, okay, I get it. I knew you were, hey, I've had my Leo tucked in all month, okay? Anyway, I was just trying to highlight that's where it came from, but we'll move on. To wish upon a star is progress. To know you are a star is evolution. To wish upon a star is progress. To know you are a star is evolution. I'm not alluding necessarily to celebrity-itis. If that is you, though, we honor you. I'm celebrating the kind of consciousness that when we look at someone like Tommy Johnson at 4 years old, to hear that he was self-taught. You know, Charles Fillmore and Ernest Holmes and a lot of the leaders in the New Thought movement, they were very specific about the words that they would talk about. They were very selective about the books that they would read. Ernest Holmes said very clearly, "I read 3 or 4 or 5 books at one time because I don't want one single book to influence my mind." Many of the core leaders and the geniuses on the planet, though I am an advocate for the right kind of education, there are many people, the geniuses, that's where it comes from because they are self-taught. And it's powerful and it's beyond measure. But if there were 2 things, if I were on a desert island that I would want to have with me, one would be lipstick. I'll meet you after to explain that. And the other would be the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. Right? And Don Miguel Ruiz and his book became to me like the Bible of Bibles. Because you can talk about spirituality in a way of intellectual or an analytical reality. But at the end of the day, when you're practicing these 4 components, you begin to touch into something about yourself that there's now room and space for you to find. Does that work for you today? So the 4 Agreements, every year we do them in some fashion here because they're that important. The first one would be living your impeccable word. Like, one of the ways you would think of is telling people really your age and telling the truth about it. It will catch up with you, even if they come to memorialize you. That would be one. If someone asks you, "Do you like my jacket?" to speak your impeccable word would be, "Do you really want to know?" And yes, I'll tell you. There's really no such thing as a white lie, because a series of lies makes our body lie down. Okay, so impeccable word is so much more than a languaging that says, "I tell the truth." Practice that with me. I tell the truth. Often the impeccable word is what we never say. We never say it, but it is there. And we learn to live long enough that it becomes literally the elephant in the room. It's a series of untruths that catch up with us at some point or another. Often they happen with physical ailments or levels of red energy in our body that make us come to a place of surrender to a greater truth that wants to reveal itself within us, yes. So the impeccable truth is also a series of the promises that one makes to oneself and rarely fulfills them. So that's probably the biggest of the impeccable truths, is don't ever make a promise to yourself that you're not willing to keep. Yes. Because on a psychological level, we are all children at heart. And it will be remembered in one way or another, through happy time or in the corner time. We all relate to that, yes? The impeccable word. There is a quote by Mark Twain that says that there are two important days in a person's life. One is, you like that, I haven't even told you what it is. One is the day you were born, and the other is when you know why. But I think on my own journey, what I would like to highlight about that is your why changes many times in your life. And you want to let it change many times in your life, otherwise you will not be living the impeccable truth. Your why changes many times. What you considered healthy 15 years ago may not be the truth for your life right now. And so when your why changes, fortunately and hopefully, you change. When you get into a dynamic of wanting to be clear and to be vibrant and energetic, well, the things you put into your mouth, the things that you eat, the things you focus on, all these things must shift. When you get into the why would you be in a relationship in the first place, when you have 10,000 video stations and you have self-taught music and you have entertainment 24/7 and you can communicate with this little box thing with people all over the world, and you get into your why of relationship, it may change where you are right now. The reason we are in relationship is to mirror back love. Anything less is not the truth. Anything less is not the truth, you see. Or you can always go on the internet and find something wrong with you. You don't have to live with somebody to get that, I'm just saying. I was telling someone the other day, I'm so glad my why around love changed, because I was taught that you look for an opposite. My why changed. Opposites may attract, but you move on. It's a lot of work. Okay. Find somebody like you and it's easy breezy lemon squeezy. Yes. Okay? Impeccable truth, don't ever settle for anything less or it will settle for you. You do a disservice to you and to everyone around you. Right? Okay, so in your Bible or in your favorite book, here's a statement to write down. I believe Philip Brooks did something similar, and I'm paraphrasing in what he said. Spirituality is more than sitting to the side, hanging out, and waiting for something to happen to you. Spirituality is when you find something in your life that is so amazing that unaided you would never be able to accomplish it by yourself. You want me to do that again? Because two people over here really got it. Okay. Spirituality is more than just hanging out or waiting on thunderbolt and lightning, waiting on an aha moment, waiting on, wow, now I'm at a new level. Spirituality, the biggest part of it is reaching towards something that's so amazing that unless you are aided by the help of something or someone or a great cause or the power that we call God our Creator, you would never be able to accomplish it. Like Tommy Johnson, what a great example, right? What a great example. To start at 4 and accomplish what he did at 9. So for any of you out there, it's not too late. We all have 5 amazing years that we can pull this off. You see that? Yeah. The other is for when we look at, there's a book, Agony and Ecstasy, and Michelangelo wrote, What was it about David? You might wonder. Yeah, David. How did he take on the giant? How did he do that? I mean, none of it makes any sense if you look at it in those times of how he was able to take on the giant Goliath. What was it within him? Because there was something within him that knew his why. He knew that that was why he had come, to set an example of removing the giant at that particular time. What is your Goliath? What is your giant? What is it? What does it look like? And as you approach it, make a decision to do your best, which is the other agreement. Always do your best. My teacher used to say, don't be average. Average is the best of the worst and the worst of the best. You don't want to be average. You want to always practice doing your best. There's a cute little story about a little boy that he says to his neighbor, I want to get Mom a very nice birthday present. And she said, well, what if you start finishing your breakfast every morning? That would be helpful. Or at night, instead of her having to go out looking for you, why don't you just come and show up on time and start doing your homework? Or what would really help your mom is for you to stop fighting with your brothers and sisters. And he thinks for a minute and he says, I'm looking for something much more practical. When we think about doing our best, it's beyond being practical, because practical has the root word of practicing, leads to practicing in it. We're not practicing because when we're into practicing, we're doing something that we've already recalled before, or something that we've done as a habit before, or something that we know before. When we live in a place of doing our best, we're coming from a place of stepping into a new that says, I'm here to do my best, and I am grounded in that, and there is an intelligence that is within me that I allow my personality to be out of the way so that great energy may emerge forward. Do you feel that? It's about doing something that, again, you're having to rely upon something that is greater than you, but you're willing to be the catalyst, to be the vehicle, to be the open door so that it can come through. So then you can then be fascinated about the essence of what you're watching, because as you're observing yourself, you're seeing somebody for the first time that you've never really known before. You've had a nudge of your heart, you've had a feeling, you've had a call, but you've never known it existed, because you're watching and you're going, that is me. As I'm allowing the new me to come forward, you see, the issue is that people still keep reminding themselves constantly and consistently of what they can't do and what they didn't do and what they tried before 14 years ago by giving someone flowers and it didn't work out. And they go on and on and on, and they keep repeating this story every day, day after day, and wonder why they're not successful, why they're not loved, and why they're not on a magazine. Well, that would be why. Because until the best you is realized, it is a disservice to humanity, because the universe is waiting. You've got the whole group held up. No pressure. Just a deep understanding, you see. And that's why we do funny little things like clap, give yourself a standing ovation, because I'm not filling space. I really mean it. I really mean it. It was not easy for me to accept that I was a lovable human being because of just imprints. It's nobody's fault. It was just a culture I was in. It was what I was exposed to as a little girl. And so I just carried that from place to place to place. You understand that? I carried it with me. And to get to a place when people say, I appreciate you, and I really hear that, this is not ego. This is honoring God. This is about honoring God. And the people that taught you that loving yourself is selfish. Come on. They need to be on an island with lipstick and the 4 agreements. I'll just leave it at that. It all starts in here. It starts around here. It starts through here. And all roads lead to you. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's how that works. So you do your best. Tracy Johnson was telling me that there was this one Sunday she was really moved, and I appreciated that. She's been here for about 5 years. There was this one Sunday that she really... But she was telling me when I used the example of a rearview mirror, and the automobile is a metaphor, and it's like how we travel through life. There's lots of stories that you can tell about an automobile that resonates, and you probably have found when you're not working, your car isn't working either. If you haven't put that together, we'll talk after. But it is pretty much always like that. So anyway, that being said, when you look at the rear view mirror in an automobile, that's a magical lesson there for how to be yourself, how to be present, how to show up. Because a rear view mirror is very, very small, which says, let your past be small in your life. Let your past be small in your life. The windshield in front is the vision of where you're going and all that unknown to any direction that you look. It's a very important lesson. Because if you hold on to your past, you live it in your future every day of your life. Right? If you're in a new relationship, do not tell them about your past relationships. Don't do it. They will spend the rest of their life with you making notes of that reminder. Right? You let that go. You let that go. When you meet new people, let yourself be new. Don't tell them everything you already knew about who you used to be, because you're not that anymore. But if you tell them who you used to be, they're going to hold you to that, almost like a promise. And and you're going to be challenged. You are. And people are going to go, oh, like somebody asked me, oh, you haven't had any past relationships? And I go, yeah. Been there, done that. That's why I'm here. Yeah. Keeping that to myself. You want to know them? Here's their number. Seriously. Live your now. Right? Here's a quote that I love. Preach the gospel always. If necessary, use words. St. Francis of Assisi. Preach the gospel always. Necessary, use words. So then we look at don't make assumptions. And don't worry, I got the time in front of me. I got it. Don't make assumptions. There was a neighbor that had some new people move in next to her, and she kept complaining to her husband that they were washing their clothes and hanging them on the line. And she said, our new neighbor must not know how to wash clothes because the clothes are dirty. And she goes on and she says this 2 or 3 times over the 2 or 3 months in the time going by. One morning she's at breakfast and she looks and she says to her husband, oh my gosh, she must be using a new detergent now because all the clothes are clean. And her husband looked at her and said, I washed the windows yesterday. Don't make assumptions. Don't make assumptions. I've been working as a counselor and life coach most of my life, most of all so I could learn. But to be doing that organically, it is fascinating to me how many people made an assumption at a dinner table or over a family holiday or a something, and no one's ever talked it through again. There's so many things undone because of assumptions made that were never really clear, and no one really communicated or talked it out. I was very excited. I'm very thankful that my mom moved here, as you know, because she's given me lots of material on Sunday, and I appreciate that. But she'll be here soon, but she's still adjusting to the move. But I was very excited when I came back from California, and we were going for a little outing. And so I go up to her apartment, and I help her get in the wheelchair, and I go to push her towards the front door, and I just go to push, and it was like we didn't move at all. And I went, oh my gosh. And I looked down, and I went, well, it must be the carpet. And I'm just pushing with everything I got. And then I remembered push, breathe in, hold your tongue. And then I thought, she's put on a lot of weight since she's been here. Oh my gosh. The door's like way over there. It's like, what are we going to do, you know? And then I looked, and the brakes were on the, I know you're smart. You already figured that out. Told each other. We make assumptions. Quickly our mind goes, you see. Things happen. We figure it out, or we project what it's going to be. Don't ever make assumptions. When you see people, to you they look unhappy, they may just be thinking. To you their body language may say, I'm not getting you, when all along they're just going, I can't believe how amazing you are. Practice that with me. I can't believe how amazing you are. You see, don't make assumptions. Don't go through the house and go, you seem to be, I love it, you seem to be tired, or you seem to be in a bad mood. You know, my new thing is focus on yourself. It's a lot easier. Right? Focus on yourself. It's a lot easier. Right. Don't project onto others, right? So, to land the plane, don't take things personal. If you make them about you, even now, if you make them about you, they will be. Right? Lots of things happen in life. Lots of experiences happen. Lots of moments happen. We don't have control over those things. We have control over the big rocks. How we pray, if we're grounded, if we're lined up, if we're saying, thank you, God, for my life, if we're coming from a place of celebration or in the process that we happen to be in, that's one thing, right? But other events that happen in our lives, do not take it personal. If you choose to, it will be. You can make it last 2 minutes, 2 hours, 2 days, 2 years, 2 lifetimes. That's where we have free will and choice. So really think about that the next time your habit of being practical wants to take on something. Like, well, I won't go there. I'll just stick to point. Just be aware. Don't let it be about you. Because it will take you and it will consume you, you see. So, in closing, there's 2 guys that live across the river, Rufus and Clarence. They're in the Ozarks. And they have decided that they don't really like each other. And Rufus yells over, Clarence, one of these days, if I can ever get across this river, I can't swim, I'm going to whoop you. And Clarence goes, Rufus, I can't wait you come over here to whoop me, because I'm going to whoop you, I just don't like you. So one morning, Rufus gets up the courage because the United Corps of Engineers for the Army, in the meantime, had built a bridge, and Rufus says, this is the day. I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to take care of Clarence. So he's crossing the bridge, and midway he sees a sign, and it says, Clarence, 13 feet, 4 inches. He goes, got to stay with me now. So he runs all the way back to his house, and his wife says, what happened? I thought you were going to get Clarence. He said, well, I was. But he had done put up a sign, and he said he was 13 foot tall. He didn't look that big from that far, but I knew I couldn't do anything with that. Okay, I know. So, the moral of the story is, with what you're aiming for, people do that too often. Their dreams, they seem so far away. What they want to realize seems so far away, you see. And then they get closer to it, and often it seems even larger, and they walk away. Don't walk away from doing your best and standing in the energy field of what you are to realize about you, your greatest gift. Thank you for coming today. Thank you. Thank you.